Arif was a single father who measured his days in bus schedules, school bells, and the weight of unpaid bills folded into his wallet. His mornings began before sunrise, packing lunches and braiding his daughter Mira's hair with clumsy fingers, and his afternoons ended with exhaustion that sank into his bones. The blind date was not his idea, but the gentle insistence of an old neighbor who believed he deserved something good after years of quiet sacrifice. He had arrived early, wearing his cleanest shirt, hoping the cafe's daylight would make him feel less invisible. The woman across the table was named Ria's son, though Arif did not know that yet. To the world, she was a celebrated CEO, a name printed in business magazines and whispered in boardrooms. But in that moment, she was simply a woman struggling to breathe through tears that refused to stop. Her phone lay face down, her shoulders shaking as if the weight of her life had finally collapsed on her all at once. People around pretended not to notice, but Arif noticed everything, because hardship sharpens the senses. Ria had agreed to the blind date out of pure exhaustion. Success had brought her respect, wealth, and power, but it had also hollowed out her personal life until loneliness echoed in every achievement. That morning, the truth she had buried for years surfaced in a meeting room filled with smiling faces and polite applause. She had realized she had built an empire with no one to share the view, and the realization had followed her into the cafe, breaking through her carefully constructed calm. Arif sat down, unsure if he should leave or stay, aware that the date had already gone wrong in ways that could not be fixed with small talk. When Ria finally lifted her eyes, red and tired, she apologized in a way that sounded less like politeness and more like surrender. She explained, not with words spoken aloud here, but with a heavy honesty that poured from her expression, that she had lost something important and did not know how to find it again. The weight of her sadness pressed into Arif's chest because he recognized it. He had lived inside it for years. He shared his own story in the quiet way people do when they are not trying to impress anyone. He let her see the worn edges of his life, the long days, the single-room apartment filled with a child's laughter and constant worry. He explained how being poor had taught him patience, and how being a father had taught him hope, even when hope felt unreasonable. As sunlight moved slowly across the cafe floor, something shifted between them, not romance at first, but understanding. Ria listened like no one had listened to her in years. In her world, people waited for her to finish speaking so they could respond, but Arif listened without an agenda. When she finally revealed what had broken her heart, the truth landed softly but deeply. She had realized she was admired but not loved, surrounded but alone, celebrated but unseen. The words settled between them, and Arif felt his chest tighten, because he knew what it meant to give everything and still feel empty. The hours passed unnoticed. Outside, the day continued, bright and ordinary, while inside the cafe, two wounded lives touched gently. Ria saw in Arif a strength that did not need titles, and Arif saw in Ria a vulnerability that no success could erase. There was no promise made, no dramatic declaration, just the quiet understanding that something real had happened, something neither of them had expected. In the days that followed, change came slowly, like morning light creeping through curtains. Ria found herself thinking less about numbers and more about meaning. Arif found a renewed sense of worth, not because his problems vanished, but because someone had truly seen him. They met again, always during the day, walking through parks, sitting on benches where children played, and life moved honestly. Ria learned about Mira, and Arif watched as Ria's guarded heart softened in ways she had forgotten were possible. This story is not about wealth saving poverty or love fixing everything. It is about two people discovering that broken hearts can recognize each other, and that sometimes the bravest thing is to sit down and listen. The blind date did not change their lives overnight, but it reminded them that kindness still exists, and that connection can grow in the most unexpected places. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of someone you once were, or someone you still hope to become, please take a moment to engage with this video. Your likes, comments, and shares tell us these stories matter. Before the ending, we have a special request for you. Please comment below with one word that describes how this story made you feel, because your voice is part of this journey. As the sun dipped lower and the day drew to a close, Arif returned home to his daughter with a lighter step, and Ria returned to her world with a softer heart. They had not found all the answers, but they had found something just as powerful: the courage to believe that even in the middle of an ordinary day, life can offer a moment that quietly changes everything.